He had never given me insult. For his gold I had no desire. I think it was his eye. Yes, it was this. He had the eye of a vulture, a pale blue eye with a film over it.
Whenever it fell upon me, my blood ran cold. So by degrees, very gradually, I made up my mind to take the life of the old man, and thus rid myself of the eye forever. Now this is a point you fancy me mad. Madmen know nothing, but you should have seen. You should have seen me. You should have seen how wisely I proceeded with that caution, with that foresight, with that dissimulation. I went to work.
I was never kind to the old man that dinner the whole week before I killed him. Every night about midnight I turned the latch of his door and opened it. Oh, so gently. And then, when I made an opening suffocate for my head, I put in a dark lantern, all close, that no light shone out, and then I thrust in my head.
Oh, you would have laughed to see how cunningly I thrust it in. I moved it slowly, very, very slowly, so I might not disturb the old man's sleep. It took me an hour to place my whole head within the opening so far that I could see him as he lay upon his bed.
Ha! Would a madman have been so wise as this? And then my head was well in the room. I undid the lantern cautiously. Oh, so cautiously. Cautiously, for the hinges creaked. I undid it just so much that a single thin ray fell upon the vulture eye.
And I did this. And this I did for 7 long nights, every night, just at midnight. But I found the eye always closed, and so it was impossible to do the work, for it was not the old man who vexed me, but his evil eye.
And every morning when the day broke, I went boldly into his chamber and spoke courageously, calling him by name in a hearty tone, and inquiring about how he passed the night.
So you see, he would have been a very profound old man, indeed, to suspect that every night, just at 12, I looked upon him like he slept. On the 8th night, I was more than usually cautious in opening the door. The watch's minute hand moves more quickly than did mine. Never before that night I felt the extent of my own powers, of my sanity.
I could scarcely contain my feelings of triumph to think that there I was, opening the door little by little, and he not even to dream of my secret deeds or thoughts.
I fairly chuckled at the idea, and perhaps he heard me, for he moved on the bed suddenly as if startled.
Now you may think I drew back, but no. His room was black as pitch with a thick darkness. For the shutters were fastened through the fear of robbers. So I knew that he could not see the opening of the door, and I kept pushing it on steadily.
I had my head in and was about to open the lantern when my thumb slipped upon the tin fastening, and the old man sprang up in bed, crying out,
Who's there?
I kept quiet, still, and said nothing.
For a whole hour, I did not move a muscle. In the meantime, I could not hear him lie down.
He was still sitting up in the bed, listening, just as I have done night after night, burning to the death, crosses in the wall.
Presently, I heard a silent groan, and knew it was a groan of mortal terror.
It was not a groan of pain or of grief. Oh no, it was a low, stifled sound that rises from the bottom of the soul, for with overcharged with awe. I knew that sound well.
Many a night, just at midnight, when all the world slept, it welled up from my own bosom, deepening with a dreadful echo of the tears that distracted me.
I say I knew it well. I knew what the old man felt and pitied him, although I chuckled at heart.
I knew that he had been lying awake ever since the first slight noise, but when he had turned in the bed, his fears had ever since been growing upon him.
he had been trying to fancy them causeless, but could not.
He had been saying to himself, it's nothing but wind in the chimney. It's nothing but only a mouse crossing the floor, or merely a cricket that has made a single chirp.
Yes, he had been trying to comfort himself with these suspicions, but he had found all in vain, because death is approaching. He had stalked with his black shadow before him and enveloped the victim.
And it was the mournful influence of an unperceptive shadow that caused him to feel, although neither saw nor heard, to feel presence of my head within the room.
When I had waited a long time, very patiently, without hearing him lie down, I resolved to open a very, very little crevice in the lantern.
So I opened it, looking on the maddened house stealthily, until at length a simple dim ray, like a thread of a spider, shot out from the crevice and fell upon the vulture eye.
It was open, wide open. I grew furious as I gazed upon it.
I saw it with perfect distinctness, all a dull blue, with a hideous veil over it that chilled the very marrow in my bones. But I could see nothing else of the old man's face or person, for I had directed the ray as if by instinct precisely upon the damned spot.
And have I not told you that what you mistake for madness is but over acuteness of the sense?
Now I say, there came to my ears a low, dull, quick sound, such as a watch makes when enveloped in cotton. I knew that sound well, too. It was the beating of the old man's heart. It increased my fury as the beating of a drum stimulates the soldier into courage.
But even yet, I refrained and kept still.
I scarcely breathed and held the lantern motionless.
I tried how steadily I could maintain the ray upon the eve.
Meantime, the hellish tattoo of the heart increased. It grew quicker and quicker, and louder every instant. The old man's terror must have been extreme.
It grew louder, I say, louder every moment.
Do you remember me well? I told you that I am nervous, and now the dead hour of the night, amid the dreadful silence of the old house, so strange a noise excited me to uncontrollable terror.
Yet for some minutes longer I refrained and stood still, but the beating grew louder. I thought the heart must burst, and now a new anxiety seized me. The sound would be heard by a neighbor.
The old man's hour had come. With a loud yell, I threw open the lantern and leaped into the room. He shrieked once only. In an instant, I dragged him to the floor and pulled a heavy bed over him. I then smiled gaily to find the deed so far done.
But for many minutes, the heart beat on with a muffled noise. This, however, did not vex me. It would not be heard through the wall. At length, it ceased. The old man was dead.
I removed the body and examined the corpse. Yes, he was stone dead. I placed my hand upon his heart and held it there for many minutes. There was no pulsation. He was stone dead. His eye would trouble me no more.
If you still thinking that, you will think so no longer when I describe the wise procedures I took for the concealment of the body. The night waned and I worked hastily, but in silence.
First of all, I dismembered the corpse,
I cut off the head,
And the arms.
and the legs.
Then I took up 3 planks from the flooring of the chamber and deposited all between the scantlings.
Then I replaced the corpse so cleverly, that no human eye, not even his, could have detected anything wrong. There was nothing to wash out, no stain of any kind, no blood spot there.
I've been too wary for that, the tuck cut off. Ha ha. When I made an end of these labors, it was 4 o'clock, still dark as midnight, as the bell sounded the hour. It came and knocked at the street door. I went down to open it with my heart, for what I had now to fear.
There entered 3 men who introduced themselves with perfect sovereignty as officers of the police. A shriek had been heard by a neighbor during the night. Suspicion of foul play had been aroused. Information had been lodged at the police office, and the officers had been deputed to search the premises.
I smiled. For what had I to fear? I bade the gentleman welcome. The shriek, I said, was my own in a dream. The old man I mentioned was absent in the country. I took the visitors all over the house. I made them search well.
I led them at length to his chamber. I showed them his treasures, secure, undisturbed, and the enthusiasm of my confidence. I brought chairs into the room and desired them here to rest from their fatigues. While I myself, in the wild audacity of my perfect triumph, placed my own seat upon the very spot where I reposed the corpse of the victim.
The officer was satisfied. My mayor had convinced them I was singularly at ease. They sat. While I answered cheerily, they chatted of familiar things. The ear long, felt myself getting pale. Which was gone.
My head ached. My fancies were ringing in my ears. He still sat and still chatted. The ringing became more distinct. Continually it became more distinct. I talked more freely to get rid of the feeling, but it continued in me to fineness, until, at length, I found that the noise was not within my ears.
No doubt, I grew very pale. I talked profusely with a heightened voice. Yet the sound increased. And what could I do? It was a low, dull, quick sound,
beating of his hideous